Hi friends, in this video we will be discussing the topic syllogism. So this might be a very familiar term to many of the NET aspirants. So in this video we will be going into the details of this particular area, syllogism, what the syllogism means and what is the structure of a syllogism, what are the various types of syllogisms and all that. So first we will be looking at what is syllogism. So this is basically a kind of logical argument which uses this deductive reasoning in order to arrive at a particular conclusion, and this conclusion will be based on two premises. So this is a logical argument that applies deductive reasoning and we will be arriving at a conclusion based on two premises. This is a concise form or a concise definition of the term syllogism. And if you consider syllogism, we have different types of syllogism as well. So I will just introduce to you some of the important types of syllogism. Firstly, we have hypothetical syllogism. This is a valid argument in which we will be having a conditional statement as one or both of the premises. So we will be having hypothetical syllogism in which we have a valid argument in which we will be having a conditional statement or an hypothetical statement which will be at least one of the premises or both the premises will be conditional statements. I will just show you an example. If Katie is smart, then she will get into a good college. So this is an example of a hypothetical kind of an argument or a hypothetical type of syllogism. So if you have a clause there, if clause, right. So if Katie is smart, then obviously she will be scoring good marks and then she will be getting into a good college. So that is hypothetical syllogism. We will be using conditional statements if Katie is smart. So that is a conditional clause. You will be having a conditional statement in a hypothetical syllogism. Then you have disjunctive syllogism. This is again a valid argument, and in this we will be using disjunctive statement for one of its premises. So in hypothetical syllogism we will be having conditional statements, whereas in disjunctive syllogism we will be having disjunctive statements. What are the disjunctive statements? The usage of either or. So that kind of usages happens in disjunctive syllogism. Here you have an example. This cake is either red velvet or chocolate. So there is a possibility of having this cake being red velvet or chocolate. So it might be red velvet or chocolate. Anyway, so that kind of an idea is what this either or means. So disjunctive syllogism uses statements that are distinctive in nature. We will be using disjunctive statements in the premises of a disjunctive syllogism. Then we have categorical syllogism. So when we consider this particular NET exam, we are particularly focusing on categorical syllogism. All the aspects that we are going to deal with in this particular module, logical reasoning, will be based on this categorical syllogism. So what is categorical syllogism? It is a particular kind of argument in which we will be having three categorical propositions. So this categorical syllogism contains three categorical propositions in which two of them will be premises and one will be a conclusion. So categorical syllogism will be having three propositions, three categorical propositions, and from that two will be premises and one will be a conclusion. So this is a perfect example of a categorical syllogism. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. So if you consider this particular example, here you have three different propositions. Each of these are propositions. This is proposition 1, this is proposition 2 and this is proposition 3. These are categorical propositions. So categorical syllogism is an argument which contains three propositions, three categorical propositions in which two of them will be premises. So all men are mortal, Socrates is a man. These are two premises, and the third one, this proposition is the conclusion that we are getting from the premises. So three propositions in total in which these two are the premises, and this is the conclusion that we are obtaining from the premises that is given above. So all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. Now we are moving to the next important aspect of a categorical proposition, that is the structure. What is the structure of a categorical proposition? So a particular categorical proposition will contain these 4 different elements in it. We will be having a subject term, then we will be having a predicate term, the copula and the quantifier. So if you consider this particular example here, just take one proposition. We said that this is about the structure of a categorical proposition. So each of these are categorical propositions, and this is an argument in which you have 2 premises and 1 conclusion. These are all propositions in nature. We have divided it into 2 premises and conclusion. Premises are the propositions from which we will be obtaining the conclusion. Alright. So just take this particular example. All men are mortal. That is a categorical proposition. So in this particular all men are mortal, in that particular categorical proposition, you have all these elements. You have the subject term, that is men here. All men are mortal. In this particular proposition, men is the subject term. Then the next element is the predicate term. So what is the predicate term here? It is mortal. So predicate is something that is says something about the subject. Predicate says something about the subject. So men are mortal. All men are mortal, in which we have men as a subject and mortal as the predicate. The next element in a categorical proposition is a copula. So what is a copula? What is that particular thing which links the subject and the predicate can be called as a copula. So just consider this example. All men are mortal. In this, men is the subject and mortal is the predicate, and are is the term which is actually unifying, or which is which is used to link between the subject and the predicate. You have the subject men here and the mortal predicate here, and are is what we are using in order to connect these 2 terms, subject term and the predicate term. So this are can be called as the copula. So copula connects the subject term and the predicate term. Then you have the quantifier. So what is a quantifier? Just take this example. All men are mortal. In this you have an all there, that all is the quantifier. So these are the 4 different elements that is there in the structure of a categorical proposition. You have a subject term, predicate term, copula and a quantifier. The next important aspect that is associated with a categorical syllogism is the minor, major premises as well as the minor and major terms. So what are these minor term and major term, and also we have this minor premise and major premise and all that. So if you consider this particular area, we can say that the subject of the conclusion is the minor term of the syllogism. So the subject of the conclusion can be called as the minor term. So if we take this as an example, we said that we have 3 propositions here, in which you have 2 premises and a conclusion. So this is the conclusion. Socrates is mortal. This is the conclusion that you have made from these premises. So what we have said is subject of the conclusion is the minor term of the syllogism. If that's the case, what is the minor term of this particular syllogism? That is Socrates. So Socrates is the minor term of this particular argument or this particular syllogism. So please do remember that the subject of the conclusion can be called as the minor term, and this particular example you have the conclusion that is Socrates is mortal, and Socrates is the subject of the conclusion. So you can say that Socrates is the minor term of this particular syllogism. Then you have the major term. So we said that the subject of the conclusion is the minor term and the predicate of the conclusion is the major term. Consider this example again. Socrates is mortal. Socrates is the subject, so this is the minor term, and mortal is the predicate of the conclusion here, so that is the major term. Mortal is the major term of this particular syllogism. Please do remember, subject of the conclusion is the minor term and predicate of the syllogism, the predicate of the conclusion is the major term. So that is what you have to remember. Subject of the conclusion is the minor term, predicate of the conclusion is the major term. Socrates, if you consider this as an example, Socrates here is the subject of the conclusion of this particular syllogism. So, Socrates is the minor term and mortal is the predicate of the conclusion of this particular syllogism. So, mortal is the major term. So, that is all about minor term and major term. Subject of the conclusion, minor term, predicate of the conclusion, major term. Next, the premise in which the minor term appears will be called the minor premise, and the premise in which the major term appears will be called the major premise. Again, if you consider this particular example, we have already said that the subject of the conclusion is the minor term and Socrates is the minor term here. And if you consider these two premises here, you can say that Socrates is here. Here you have Socrates is in one of the premises. You have two premises here, and if you consider this syllogism as a whole, this particular Socrates is the minor term of this syllogism because Socrates is the subject of the conclusion of this particular syllogism. So, this Socrates is seen in this premise, right. So, this minor term is present in this particular premise here. So, you can call this particular premise as the minor premise. That is what says here. The premise in which the minor term appears will be called the minor premise. Again, the premise in which the major term appears will be called the major premise. So, we said that the predicate of the conclusion is the major term. The predicate of the conclusion is the major term. Socrates is mortal. In this particular conclusion, you have the predicate here, that is mortal. You can call this mortal as the major term of this syllogism. This mortal can be seen in this premise as well, right. Mortal is there in this premise. In the first premise you have the term mortal. So, in this premise you have mortal here, and mortal is a major term of the syllogism. So, you can call this premise as the major premise. That is what this major premise and minor premise is all about. Minor premise is basically the subject of the conclusion and major premise is basically the predicate of the conclusion, and the premise in which we have the minor term can be called as minor premise, and the premise in which we have the major premise can be called as major premise. So, that is all about major premise and minor premise. Other than this major term and minor term, we have another term, that is middle term. So, this middle term is what actually links these premises together to get a proper conclusion. And another important aspect of a middle term is that middle term will be present in the premises, in both the premises, but it will be absent in the conclusion. Let us take the syllogism. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. We said that this is the minor term and this is the major term, and we have another term in this particular syllogism, that is man, men or man, both are the same, right. One is singular and one is plural, both are the same. So, this men or man is what links these two premises together. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. So, the term which actually leads to the conclusion is this man. All men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. So, man is the term which links these premises together to get a proper conclusion like Socrates is mortal. So, that particular term can be called as middle term, the term which links both the premises together to get a proper conclusion. That is one thing. Another thing is that the most important characteristic of a middle term is that it will be present in both the premises, but it will be absent in the conclusion. We cannot see the middle term in the conclusion, but it will be present in both the premises. So, if you are getting a question like this, they are giving you an example and you are asked to identify the middle term of that particular syllogism, what you can easily do is that you have to just check the term which is absent in the conclusion and present in both the premises. So, just check this conclusion. The conclusion is therefore Socrates is mortal. This is the conclusion. So, we said that man is the middle term of this syllogism because it connects both the premises in order to have a proper conclusion like this. That is the first thing. And also, as we have discussed, man is absent in the conclusion and it is present in both the premises, men and man. It is present in both the premises, but it is absent in the conclusion. That is middle term. So, now we will be just looking at few questions. So, in this particular video we have discussed about syllogism, we have discussed about the various types of syllogism, and as I have already said, categorical syllogism is what we are concentrating on from NET's point of view, and we have discussed the structure of a categorical proposition. We said that it will be having a subject term, will be having a predicate term, then you have a copula there, and also it will be having a quantifier. And then we have discussed about the major term and minor term, and again we have discussed about the minor premise, major premise, and again we will be having another term, that is middle term. We have discussed about its peculiarities as well. So, I will just show you some questions so that you can get an idea about how you can expect questions from this area. So, this is a question from June 2019. All gentlemen are polite, no criminals are polite. No criminals are gentlemen. So, this is just a syllogism that is given to you, and what is the question here? Identify the major term in above syllogism. All gentlemen are polite, no criminals are polite, no criminals are gentlemen. So, you have three propositions here, from which the first two are the premises and the last one gives you the conclusion. Alright, and the question is, you have to find out the major term in the above syllogism. So, what we have learned, from what we have learned, we know that major term is basically the predicate of the conclusion, right? Major term is the predicate of the conclusion. So, if you consider this conclusion, what is the predicate of this conclusion? That is gentlemen. You have criminals, that is the subject, gentlemen is the predicate, criminals will be the minor term, gentlemen will be the major term, R will be the copula and O will be the quantifier. So, question is, you have to find out the major term, that is gentlemen. So, that is the predicate of the conclusion. And if you consider this syllogism, you can see that this gentleman, this predicate term, this major term is present in this particular premise as well. So, you can call this premise as the major premise. Why? This gentleman is the major term of the syllogism, and this particular term is present in this all gentlemen are polite, this particular premise. So, you call this premise as the major premise. So, if that is the case, what is a major term in this, or identify, if you have to identify the major term in this syllogism, you can say that it is the predicate of the conclusion and the subject of the first premise. Gentleman here, the first premise, gentleman here is the subject, right? You have subject gentleman, polite predicate, R copula and all quantifier. So, that means the major term, if you have to find out the major term of this particular syllogism, you can say that it is the subject of the first premise and the predicate of the conclusion. So, from the options, subject of the first premise and predicate of the conclusion, that is option C. So, the right answer will be option C. Alright. Next question. This was asked in June 2019. No musicians are Japanese, all barbers are musicians, no barbers are Japanese. Identify the middle term in the above syllogism. So, you have a syllogism given here, no musicians are Japanese, all barbers are musicians, no barbers are Japanese. What we have learned about middle term is, the middle term is what links both the premises together to get a proper conclusion. That is the peculiarity of a middle term. And the best way to identify a middle term from a syllogism is that it will be absent in the conclusion and it will be present in the both the premises. So, if you consider this syllogism, you can say that musicians is the term that can be considered as the middle term of this particular syllogism. Why? If you consider this conclusion, no barbers are Japanese, the only term that is not there in the conclusion and that is present in the premises are musicians, and also this musicians, this particular term is present in both the premises, right? Musicians is a term that is present in both the premises, but it is absent in the conclusion. So, obviously, this musicians will be the middle term of this particular syllogism. If that is the case, how can you express it? If you consider the first premise, musicians is the term that comes as a subject, predicate, copula and quantifier. So, this middle term in this particular syllogism is the subject of the first premise and the predicate of the second premise. In second premise, you have barbers as the subject, musicians as the predicate, are as the copula and all as the quantifier. So, what is the middle term here? It is the musicians is basically the middle term that you can identify from this syllogism. That is the subject of the first premise and predicate of the second premise. Subject in the first premise and predicate in the second premise, that is option A. So, the right answer for this question is option A. Another question. This is from June 2019. Identify the minor term in the following syllogism. You have to find out the minor term from the following syllogism. What is a minor term? Minor term is the subject of the conclusion. So, consider this syllogism. Some books are not edifying. All books are interesting. Therefore, some interesting things are not edifying. So, what you have to simply find is you have to find the minor term of this syllogism, and we know that the subject of the conclusion is the minor term of a syllogism. So, therefore, some interesting things are not edifying. So, here you can see that this interesting is considered, it can be considered as the minor term of this particular syllogism. Interesting things, this interesting things can be considered as a minor term of this particular syllogism. So, if you take this interesting as the minor term, you can see that in this particular syllogism, interesting is the subject of the conclusion and also it is the predicate of the second premise. So, you just split this particular sentence into two. Some books are not edifying is your first premise. Then you have all books are interesting, that is your second premise, and therefore some interesting things are not edifying is your conclusion. Alright. If that is the case, interesting is the subject of the conclusion and it is the minor term, and that interesting is present in the second premise. So, that is the minor premise, and in that particular premise interesting is that is mentioned as the predicate. So, the minor term of this particular syllogism can be identified as the subject of the conclusion and predicate of the second premise. So, subject of the conclusion and predicate of the second premise, that is option A. So, the right answer is option A. Alright. So, in this video we have discussed about the concept syllogism, and we have discussed what is a syllogism, we have discussed the definition, and also we have discuss the various types of syllogism. And as I have mentioned already, categorical syllogism is our area of concern, that is what we have to focus from a next point of view. And we have discussed about the structure of a categorical proposition. We said that it has a subject, predicate, copula and quantifier. Then we have discussed about minor term, major term, minor premise and major premise, and also we have examined a few questions from the previous year, so that we will get a more understanding about this area as well. So, I hope this video will help you in your preparations. Thank you.